I don't believe that there's a subsidy. I think it's a scam. And
You believe that?
It's a massive. I think it's the biggest scam that has ever happened globally.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, it is massive.
Wow. Now, are you familiar with this book?
I've seen it. I've seen parts of it.
Okay. Have you read it?
Yes.
Okay.
And I kicked.
Pages 17 to 19, where she talked about how Avon left Obasanjo's cabinet as first as finance minister later on. But she left. She went back to World Bank as MD. Now, President Yar'Adua, of blessed memory, tried to get her. She refused. Now, Jonathan comes in and pleaded with her through Atedo Peter's side, who says, Jonathan will call you, please accept. But she said she's not interested. But then pressure, and all of that. People called the pious anyway. But you now went to Washington and called to say you want to see her, that you tried to dissuade her from taking the job. You know, you said some people in Nigeria don't want her to take the job because it will make Jonathan look good. Was there any truth to that?
You know, it's a very sad story, and I took her up on it. And
you took her up on it?
Oh yes, because that was not what happened. I went to visit her primarily to get someone a job. A friend of mine in the United States wanted to work in the World Bank, so I went to talk to her about the processes. I'm worried, not even because I think it will be rigged. I think the opposition will rig itself out.
Oh, really?
Out of stupidity.
Wow.
I mean, cheat me once, shame on you. Cheat me twice, shame on me. The only way you can seriously tackle the incumbent is to come together to tackle him, to have the force. Otherwise, you'll be factionalized. Look, Bola Tinubu is not the average politician, right?
In the mold of Jonathan.
Well, you said it. I didn't call anybody's name. All I know that he is not the
run-of-the-mill
politician, right?
Mm.
So you don't go to fight a lion who also has horns. No, listen to this. Can you imagine a lion with a horn?
Yes.
Right? It's already a dangerous animal.
Absolutely.
Then you now give it a horn and you say go and fight it with knife and fork.
Wow.
You'll be the dinner.
Wow.
So let's get real.
This is Naija Unfiltered on SYMFONI TV. My name is Olawale, Oluwade, and my guest today is a former governor of Cross River State, a lawyer, businessman, politician. Your Excellency, Donald Duke. Nice to have you.
Pleasure's mine.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
I've looked for you everywhere.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't realize I was hiding.
And on a lighter note, what's the trade secret to this longevity and looking so young?
If I tell you, it ceases to be a secret.
September 30th, I think you'll be 65.
Absolutely.
Wow. I'd like to look like this when I'm your age.
Be careful what you pray for.
Let's get on with our business.
Thank you.
You're the presidential candidate of the People's Redemption Party. Why do you want to be president?
You know, it's an incredible sacrifice to put yourself out there, knowing that there are just two results. You either make it or you don't. So there's a certain conviction that goes with it. I believe that the direction the country is going now is foreboding for all of us, and globally too. Nigeria is not a small country. Nigeria is a large country, and we believe that in the next few years, Nigeria will probably be the third most populous nation in the world. It could be constructive, it could be disruptive. Constructive if we get our people working, productive, and adding value to the global economy. Disruptive if it's the reverse. And I see us going in that direction where our people are not productive, and there is really no apparent attempt to create an economy that encompasses all of us. So a lot of us look out for succor. We go to more prosperous countries because we have a country that cannot accommodate our economic needs. Let me make this even more succinct to you. In 1980, between 1979 and 83, while Shagari was president of Nigeria, his average annual national budget was $25 billion on the average. So in his 4 years, he spent $100 billion. Its population was barely 75 million people in the 70s during the period. 46 years after, we're still spending around that same $25 billion. We call it trillions now because we just thoroughly thrashed the currency. But our population has more than quadrupled, right? And you could see the effects. Even when we were 25 billion, there were still issues here and there to show that it wasn't the economy wasn't still large enough at that time. Now it's even worse. So the fallout of that is the Boko Haram you see, the banditry, the kidnapping, all the vices you see right now as a result of the inadequacy in our system. Okay, and it's seen in other aspects of our lives. The issue of tribalism, religious bigotry, and all that. It's inadequate economy. If the economy is large enough for everyone, who cares if you're a Muslim or Christian? Who cares if you're from the north or the south and all that? But you see, where you have an inadequate economy, people strive to use what they've got to get what they want. If being a Muslim is an advantage to you, you take advantage of it. If being a Christian is same, being from the south or southwest, or whatever. So we have to address our economic issues to ensure that everyone, as much as possible, is productive. After all, for me, the definition of the reason for government is to ensure that each citizen is optimally productive within a safe and orderly environment. I think that's what government is all about. That's why we build schools, hospitals, roads, infrastructure. That's why we have security and all that, police and all that, and the judiciary for orderliness. Because the reason for the existence of government is to make everyone in society productive. If everyone were productive in society, except those who have negative, very, very negative tendencies, most people would not, you get to a point. I mean, when we talk of the past and we go to our village life where there was a semblance of, everyone was productive. You had your farm, you go produce and all that, and there was a semblance of satisfaction in the community. You could leave your doors open and be sure that no one will come in and harass you or steal and all that, but you can't today. The sad thing is that it's very difficult to reverse the trend because those who have gone into kidnapping, banditry, and all that. And I know a true life experience where a kidnapped victim was asking her kidnappers, "Why are you doing this? You seem like a fairly decent person. You speak well and all that." And the guy said to her, "I'm a graduate. I went to so-so university. I've been out of school for the last 15 years, nothing. Now I've kidnapped you. I'm going to get 20 million off you. Which job will give me 20 million for 1 week's work?" So you see, it's very difficult to reverse. Once they get into it, there's no amount of money you're going to pay them that will satisfy because their appetite has grown, So it's a dangerous situation we find ourselves. And unfortunately, in the last almost 15, 20 years, I would say, we have not made any targeted approach to growing our economy. Look at the interest rates. I mean, to do business, you need the banks, you need
Absolutely.
funding, you know that.
Absolutely.
Who's going to borrow at 35, 38%? Your interest rate is inimical to growth.
Absolutely.
You focus on inflation because if you speak to them at the central bank, they'll say because of inflation, so they keep it that way. The money you borrow, you lend to customers to grow their economy, to grow their business, right, does not inflate your economy. If anything, it helps deflate it. I always take it like, take a bucket of water. That water in the bucket is the inflation. You put a sponge. If you put a small sponge, it can't absorb enough. But you put a large sponge into it, which is the economy, it will absorb all the inflation because people now have spending power.
Absolutely.
And there's not, because inflation, they say, is excess money, excess liquidity. But because there's no purchasing power. So if you expand the economy, people will be able to purchase. And it's simple. Economics is actually common sense.
Yeah,
if you apply it, it's a logical science. But they tell you it's a thing. Now you look at it, what is the cause of inflation in our terms? There's a disconnect between the monetary policy and fiscal policy. While monetary policy is focused on keeping, managing the naira, as it were, and dealing with inflation,
Yes.
Our fiscal policy is haywire. We're just spending as it comes,
Like drunken sailors.
Yeah, absolutely. And the sad thing is that we're spending on things that we don't produce here.
Misprioritization.
Yes. So you're just spending this money, and so then the central bank, to keep some sanity in the system, now inflicts us with high interest rates. So it's counterproductive. You've got to address the monetary policy and fiscal policy must sit down together and agree on what ought to do. And if you're producing enough here, you're keeping people employed. They have disposable income. You know very well today, even if you bring the best teams in the world to play football here, you could never fill a stadium. If you charge 100 naira, you won't fill that stadium up because people don't have disposable income.
Absolutely.
And so we have a huge challenge with that. We've got to look at those things, look at the purchases, and ensure that as much as possible, all consumer items in Nigeria are made in Nigeria for Nigerians, for West Africa, for Central Africa, for Sub-Saharan Africa. That's the direction to go. But if we go on this way, this trajectory, in the next 10 years, we're already in disaster, but it will be such a disaster that, Professor Aluko, who was chairman of the National Economic Intelligence Committee, where I once worked, said the time is coming when the rich won't sleep because the poor don't eat. I think that time has arrived.
Wow, interesting. Your opening remarks really sobering. But let me ask you, even before we get into the meat of this conversation, Professor Chinua Achebe, perhaps Nigeria's greatest folklorist, bard and all of that, said, Nigeria's problem is simply and squarely, I'm quoting him now, leadership. Because what you just painted is not rocket science. Let me borrow this popular cliche. It's not rocket science.
It is not, absolutely.
We have the human resource. We produce professors of economics, globally renowned, sound people. What has been the missing link, Your Excellency?
It's leadership, because it encompasses so many things. But I think the solution to Nigeria's problem is one person.
Wow.
Getting the right person as a leader who would now put together the leadership.
It's
you see, it's like if you look at soccer, you learn a lot from it.
Absolutely. It's a live sport, actually.
It is. You take the captain, and I'll give you a graphic story. This happened in 2003, 2005, I don't remember. I was watching television in Calabar, and it was England against Norway or one of those Scandinavian countries. And Beckham was a non-playing captain because he had some injury.
Okay.
So he took over like the manager of the team. He was running across, telling them what to do and all that, and changing players if needed and all, At the end of the match, they won. England won, a lone goal. And Beckham got the cup. He was the only player that was spotless. They were all white, right? All the others were filthy.
Yes.
And it got me thinking, that leader puts together that team. And it puts you where your strength lies. So you can't put a goalkeeper, for instance, as your center forward or vice versa. So he does that. He motivates them, right? And ensures that their collective goal, which is to win the cup, is achieved. And when he gets the cup, of course, they wouldn't say it was this and this player. They say it was at the time of Beckham that this happened. You fired a salvo while you're in the race. When you go to a stadium, last World Cup, probably 100,000 people in the stadium watching this match, not to talk of the billions outside.
Of course.
But only 25 people will determine the outcome.
Absolutely.
The players in that field. The audience, the spectators, usually believe they're better than the players, better than the coach. Oh, this coach, why did you do this? Oh, you got it wrong, this, that. But they're not on the field. They may be better, but they're not on the field. You must be on the field to determine the outcome of that match. That's why I've decided to be on the field.
Fantastic. When are you nominating your running mate?
I do have one.
Who is he?
Ambassador Kabiru Rabiu.
Okay, but it wasn't, it's not publicly...
We're going to unveil him very soon. It's a package,
Okay.
When you open a parcel on Christmas Day.
Interesting. Okay, that's good. Give us an assessment of the Tinubu administration. It's 3 years now. 29th this month will make it 3 years and 3 months. Give us an assessment, especially 3 core areas: security, economy, and electricity, for instance?
You're not being fair. He said, if I don't get electricity right, don't vote for me. I think that says everything. But it'll be unfair to say that everything President Tinubu has done is wrong. I mean, look, even if all he does is teaches you what not to do, right? There's some value in his administration. Unfortunately, that's all we seem to have been learning through several administrations. I give him kudos for what they've strived to do on education, the NEL fund, I think it should be deeper. I think it's too little too late, but it's better late than never. So I really give him kudos for that. I don't believe that there's a subsidy. I think it's a scam. And
You believe that?
It's a massive, I think it's the biggest scam that has ever happened globally.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, it is massive.
Wow.
But I'll come to that. And this whole thing about, okay, I think the priorities are wrong in some cases. I see him as a man who has a large vision for Nigeria, but is unable to actually articulate it. So people, because you ask me, where are we going? Most people can't tell you exactly what, his mission statement is.
The grand vision.
Yeah, what's the vision and how do you want to attain this? So it's not enough to say we're going to make Nigeria great. How do you want to make Nigeria great? Nigeria is already potentially great. It's to actualize it. So on power, I think he's marked his script. On infrastructure, there's a lot of activity going on there, but I disagree with and I've said this in a forum before, and the minister was the Minister of Works, Engineer Mahi. He responded very politely. He said, I said they wouldn't go beyond Ekpe and for the Lagos-Calabar
Coastal Highway.
They still haven't gotten to Ekpe, but he now says they're doing it in phases and all that. Okay, let's assume it gets to Calabar. I should be one of the happiest people, right, that goes to. I live in Lagos and Calabar, and I've done that route many times. When the road was good, it was an 8-hour drive. So maybe with the highway that they're planning, maybe it would bring down to 6 or 7. But that's not the point. The point is, can we afford it? Is that our priority now? And at the same time, you say you're doing one from Lagos to Sokoto.
Exactly.
There's not a lot of attention is not there because getting to Badagry, where the road starts from, is impassable. So nobody's even marking that script.
Absolutely.
And I think it was thrown in for political reasons, to placate a section of the country.
Exactly.
But actually, honestly, if you're doing a Lagos to Calabar highway, you should start at Badagry. That's where Lagos starts in the southwest. Not from Victoria Island. So when you're building a road from Lagos to Calabar, but the focus is on the Lagos end from Victoria Island,
exactly.
And at the same time your son feeling the
you're actually being very polite and nice, because some actually said he's starting from Eco-Atlantic.
President Tinubu is my friend. We're colleagues, we're classmates, and I'm an advocate just because you see, I like his guts. I admit it. There are many people who can read meaning to that. That's not the point. He's a determined person. But I don't like where you're taking us. So you don't stop being my friend. But I would challenge you that where we're going, we're all going to fall into a ditch. So you take on this road. The amount of money you've spent so far literally could have fixed the existing roads between Lagos and Calabar.
Wow.
Right? Put it on the drawing plan that, okay, in future, you would do this corridor. Fine. I mean, we're going to use it one day or the other, but it's not a priority. Our priority, for instance, should be education, should be health. You're aware, and these are not my figures. This came from the Ministry of Health, where the minister said he only collected 36 million naira as capital release, but his budget is about 320 billion. So it shows your health is of no priority to the administration. Look at education. I mean, we used to pride ourselves that we were, in fact, we used to loan manpower to other countries.
Absolutely.
There's this program that I think started by President Basanjo when he was, when they send Nigerian graduates to support.
Yes.
There's a name for it. It skips my mind now.
I'm trying to remember it now.
And they did incredible things around Africa, medicine, this, and, around the world. So we used to be a net exporter of trained manpower. Today we have the highest number of out-of-school children in the world, not in Africa, in the world. In a world where you have countries like India with 1.4 billion people, China and all that, and you have the highest number of out-of-school children. It says a lot. And there's no concrete program to deal with it. We just say it, We deceive ourselves that we have the largest economy in Africa. Well, first of all, I disagree with that. But even if you did, and you have almost 250 million people, and your economy, why don't talk about the GDP, the income per capita? Because you see, the focus of government must be the productivity of our citizens. Okay, so our CBN today, their kudos is if the reserves are large. So if tomorrow they announce that we have $100 billion in our reserves, we clap. What does that mean? It means that we have more money to import things.
Absolutely.
We're not talking about how to manufacture things. So our entire economic direction is importation, right, and not production. That is a shame. Okay, so the CBN will be very happy to say, we curtailed inflation through our drastic interest rate regime, and at the same time we have saved 100 billion or more in our reserves, and we applaud.
For them.
When you go deeper into that, what you have done is you've built more money to buy from outside. You've increased interest rates to stop production from inside, right? So then you talk of growth. You've grown 2%, 3%. Meanwhile, your population has been growing steadily in excess of 3%, but you've grown 2%. But before you grew the 2%, you crashed the economy by over 100%, right? So if you were at zero when you came in and you make a statement that brings, or whatever you do, that brings the economy to minus 100, then you go to 98, you clap for yourself, I've done very well. It's voodoo. It's not concrete. It's not thought through. We cannot afford to remain a complacent country because our population is too large for that.
And it's growing.
It's growing. It's too large. If you were a small country, it's more tolerable, right? I went to Equatorial Guinea the other day. They literally import everything. But they produce 295,000 barrels of oil. Their population is hardly 1.8 million people. They produce as much oil as Bayelsa State.
Wow.
So when you look at it, they can afford it for a while as long as they're doing that.
Absolutely.
You cannot afford it because you cannot. Each thing you purchase from abroad, you've sustained a job out there.
Economy.
So yes, I know we can't overnight become an industrial nation, but there are certain steps you take. For instance, if I said all household electronic items, must be assembled in Nigeria, I've taken people off the streets because you have to set up a plant, you have to get people, and they start assembling. If I say that the government will not purchase any car that is not assembled in Nigeria, I'm also creating an industry there, and I'll certainly increase the tariff on the imported vehicles to dissuade people so that they patronize local manufacture. Yeah. So those are things. Try to add value to anything that comes into the country. You can't bring so-and-so things bulk because it must be rebagged here and all that. Look, this is one I find very funny. You take a beer, or Guinness in my case. I drink Guinness. And you look at them, it's made of barley, malt, and all that. Non-produced. The barley is not from here, the malt is not from here. So you want to get high on the productivity of others in Europe. If you can't make your beer or your Guinness from millet and sorghum, exactly, right, then don't do it at all.
Exactly.
If we're going to get high, let's get high on our produce. Then you have these folks who bring in the fancy whiskeys, the Glendovish, the this, and say 40 years, 30 years. When I hear Nigerians say 30 years, 40, they really can't tell the difference. And I've done it once in Calabar. I had some guests come in, and I had this bottle that had 40 years, but it was empty. It was a whiskey bottle. I think it was a Glendovish or something, but really nice, fancy. Then I just poured the basic
Red label.
Red label. It was a red
Exactly.
label. And the clowns that came to my house, when they drank it, they said, oh, so smooth.
Wow.
Oh, you know,
Wow.
they couldn't tell the difference.
Wow.
They
Wow.
couldn't tell the difference. So we're pretentious. So we take
Exactly.
wine, for instance, and they give us the wine, we taste it and swirl it in our mouth. And do we know the difference? You know, when did we become connoisseurs?
Exactly.
But the point is,
Exactly.
if you're going to import 1,000 liters of Glendovish made abroad, you also must be involved in a manufacturing here that makes 10,000 liters of ogogoro or whatever we can do, flavor it, whatever you know. You know, let's get high on our resource, not keeping people working just to live a fancy high lifestyle that really doesn't make sense.
Absolutely. Interesting. I'm already.
You're a convert.
I'm already thinking like a convert.
But this campaign must be based on reality,
Issues.
not, you know.
Absolutely.
Let's get serious.
Absolutely.
Let's get
Not
serious.
mundane, not trivialities, issues. How worried are you about the APC now and the government it's produced, their management of the democratic space? How worried are you? How perturbed are you?
It's concerning. It's concerning. It's they're not tolerable of opposition, and the myriad of the flurry of cases that are before the judiciary, and that's where the concern is. President Tinubu has said that all is fair in politics. That's his view. I, on the other hand, believe that, well, in soccer, and I like taking the analogy of football.
What club do you support, by the way?
I really don't, because it's too emotional. If you support a club and they're not doing well, these guys are earning hundreds of millions. Why should I take Panadol for their headache?
And develop blood pressure and all of that.
So I just watch it. And if I'm sitting among some friends
Yes.
and they're for one club, I'll likely take the other club
Okay.
so that I can see them. You know, I can laugh at them.
Exactly.
But I'm not attached to any club. Now, you know, while you're there and the players on the field, they will try to cheat. You touch them, they fall down, particularly near the penalty. It is the referee that keeps order in the game. In our case, the referee is the judiciary. And the judiciary, lately, they seem as if they're for the highest bidder, right? So democracy cannot function in the absence of a firm and upright judiciary. I'm not sure we have that right now.
Wow.
And it's sad when you generalize and say the judiciary, because I believe that there's some damn good, honest judges with integrity. But like they say, one bad apple spoils a whole bunch.
Exactly.
So I'm not sure. And then the delay in giving judgment. You know, when you were introducing me, you said I'm a lawyer. Yes, I studied law. One of the first things you learn at law school is justice delayed is justice denied. There are cases in this country that have gone on for over 20, 30 years and have not been resolved.
Wow.
So you've got to overhaul the judiciary. But you see, the interesting thing is that it's not that we don't know. We know. Because the politicians have sorted out themselves. They can go from tribunal to Supreme Court in 6 months.
Exactly.
But what is good for the goose is not good for the gander. That's a problem. So if a case, what I would advocate for, because I don't want to criticize without proffering what I think are solutions. What I would advocate for is, if I file a case in court, right, within 90 days, at the court of first instance, you must receive judgment. But, so we're not, the summary is that we're not taking ourselves seriously. And when I say this and people say, well, how do you take yourself seriously? I say, well, we must institute consequences in everything we do. The reason why things are going the way they are going, because there's just no consequences. Let me tell you this short story. I went to Malaysia at the instance of President Obasanjo, who were looking for investors in oil palm. And I met the Prime Minister then, Mohammed Mahathir, and he took a liking to me. And I was there for a week, and he made sure that every other day we had dinner together. So he asked me to see his Minister for Agriculture, because we're interested in oil palm. And I did. And the minister looked at me point blank and said, I can't see you this week. You have to come next week. I'm leaving the country the following day. So I said to him, I'm leaving the following day. He said, well, then it will be when next you come to. And I'm like, the Prime Minister sent me to you, and you're telling me you can't see me. So that evening, I was due to have dinner with the Prime Minister, and he asked me how my meeting with the minister went. I said, oh, he pointedly told me that he can't see me, and he mentioned something about an AFP or something like that, some initial report. The Prime Minister held his head and said, oh, yes, that's true. That you see, we run a system here of accountability. He says we have benchmarks and targets.
Performance evaluation.
And every 3 months, we evaluate you. And if you flunk twice, you're out.
Wow.
So
You're out of the cabinet.
You mark your script. Yes,
Wow.
You're out of the cabinet.
Wow.
So for instance, you're in charge of works, and you have 100 kilometers of road to do. And the first 3 months, you've only done 20 kilometers. The next 3 months, you've only done another 20 kilometers. They will assume that you will not attain your target by the end of the year. So they get you out. So the Prime Minister said, yes, that's true. And it's very important for them. It's a script. And he took over the responsibility of finance. He was his own Minister of Finance. He said, because usually the excuse is that there's no money, right? So I will make sure I get them the money. We all agree on the targets. If I get you this money, can you do 100 kilometers? Yes, I can. And you sign off. So in the budgetary process, every ministry, department, agency, every unit, the budgetary sums attached to you as income must be attained. So if you're a director of produce, for instance, and you say through produce remittances, you would have, say, $1 million, and you come up short, you've lost your job. That's it. That's consequence. So these are serious people. So it's not a question of I'm your friend or don't do it again. You mark your script, and we all have agreed that if you can't do this, you go. The same thing with security. If there's a robbery in an area, who are those in charge of security in that area? You have the police, you have the army, because they all have intelligence units. So whether it's Air Force, Navy, and all that, then you have the DSS. When there's a robbery or some crime committed in an area, those people are responsible, and they know that it can cost them their job. So you get up and you want to go even beyond the call of duty, because the responsibilities are dire. But nobody does anything to any DPO, even if the robbery was next door. I mean, in your house, in your home, where you live, if there's a robbery somewhere, you go to your staff, you go to your security man, you go to your helps and all that, even before you come to your children and all that, So we're in a society that pays no premium to consequences, and the consequences should be both sides. If you do well, you are recognized and promoted for it. I mean, if you forestall, for instance, some kidnapping, or you foil a kidnapping or banditry in a community, I think you should get even if you don't get a promotion, right? Or they could promote you to the next stage. They can give you a badge of gallantry or something. And that's why in American, other countries, not just America, they give you the purple
Medal of Honor,
and all that. It's because you've done something of valor, so they recognize you. That means there are consequences for doing the right thing. And also, if you abdicate your responsibility of not done it properly, there are also consequences. The regime of consequence was started by God Almighty, not by man.
Absolutely.
He gave you commandments, and if you live up to it, you know what happens if you don't. So if we treasure so much the laws of nature, we should adapt them too. You can't have a society where you have all the laws, but there are no consequences.
Sure. Sure. Okay, so what specific economic and governance agenda are you presenting to the Nigerian voters for consideration next year? Maybe just briefly.
Someone asked me, what's your priority? I said, at the stage we're in now, everything is priority. But, and they went on to ask, what's your first 100 days like? The 100-day business.
No, I don't believe in 100 days.
I don't believe in either. But at least you use the first 100 days to set your agenda and let people know that there will be consequences. Exactly. I think it will take about 100 days, which is 3 months and 10 days for them to grapple with that. Exactly. Then you start. But my focus will be on ensuring that we have, like I said, our mission statement, our vision is to ensure that every citizen is optimally productive. So you've got to address education seriously, and I believe the first 18 years up to the age of 18, that's senior secondary level, should be free. It doesn't mean that private schools shouldn't exist. Elites will always
The law already exists for that. Universal basic
they would
education.
exist, but the government has a responsibility to ensure that every child, every brain is trained. An untrained brain is a drain on this nation.
Absolutely.
Our real resource is here, not in the ground.
Absolutely.
This one helps you get what is in the ground. If you have all the resource in the world, look, there's no nation more minerally rich than Afghanistan in the world today. Right? I didn't say more. Look at Congo.
Same
right?
thing.
It's probably one of the wealthiest nations in the world. Potential. Look at Nigeria. So if you lose this, you will never get that. So we need to prioritize the productivity and getting it. For me, SS1 to SS3 should be purely skill acquisition. Tell me what you have a flair for. If it's masonry, plumbing, whatever. But you leave SS3 with your school cert or whatever, but you have a skill that you can come rain, come shine. If nothing works for you, thereafter, if you want to go to university, go to university. But I'll also go further. I'll ensure that no child, and I'll speak with the embassies on this, is given a visa for education except it's from university level up. So you've got to get up to the age of 18, you want school here. And that would cause the elites in our society to build schools here. Absolutely. You don't want them to go to public schools, that's fine. Build schools, this is a general curriculum. The curriculum must be designed such that you are globally effective. So you've got to go, just as in the past, English and mathematics was everything. Absolutely. Today is information technology, cybertronics and all those things. So you're properly schooled in that. Then because you see the thing, when you start sending kids at the age of 9 abroad, you're deculturizing them. They end up going there, they're neither citizens there, they'll never be accepted there, and they can't fit in here. So they're hybrids.
Wow.
So until the age of 18, until you've attained your secondary school education, you can't go. And it's also a drain on our economy. Absolutely. We're just spending money abroad to these expensive schools.
$2 billion annually.
To let them learn here. And meanwhile, education itself is an industry because there are a lot of people, you for instance, you can do part-time, so I'm going to teach you something about journalism or something like that. So you're creating jobs in your people. I want to ask you, what is productivity? If I can do anything that someone is willing to pay for, I'm productive. So if it's dancing, if it's to come and dance in your house and I'm a good dancer and you're ready to pay me for it, I'm productive. So it doesn't have to be that you're an engineer or something. I mean, who would say Michael Jackson wasn't productive? Absolutely. He was very productive.
Even after his death, he's still
productive. Even more productive. Even more productive now,
The cattle is selling for well over
billions.
$1 billion.
So you see, you've got to ensure that all your citizens have something that others want. Okay?
It's commercially viable.
Yes. So our education is very important. Infrastructure is very important, but that takes time. But a quick win is adjust your interest rates. We're going to sit down and align fiscal and monetary policy, and the concept of that will be to ensure that Nigerians are productive. So what do we need? We must make capital available and affordable. For me, it has to be under 10%. What are the consequences of that, right? Inflation will go up. Okay, fine. What do we do from the fiscal side to bridge it? You see, there's no discussion on the fiscal side right now from the monetary side saying that you guys are the ones causing inflation. What do we do to stem that? Those things have to be looked at, and we've got to discuss them.
So education,
you've got to work on the judiciary. Within 6 months, we've got to look at the judiciary and do that. Education, but health. Now, health will not work until you have people who have the disposable income to pay for the services. You can say free health, and I hear a lot of governors say free health. It's a good mantra politically, but realistically, how do you do that? The doctors have to be paid. The pittance they're paying them today is insulting for the amount of work and training they got and the responsibilities they bear. Because these are people who keep people alive, and you pay them pittance, right? So you've got to discourage medical tourism. It's a very small percentage of our people.
It's a huge drain on
But it's a huge drain, so it doesn't match up. But all those skills, how do you do it? How do you, for instance, ensure that everyone can pay? I have a few thoughts in my mind on how it can be done. First of all, I believe that literally everyone generally has a phone in the country now, whether in the rural urban areas. I think we pay 14 naira a second. Take it to 20, 25. But that difference goes to your health insurance. Everybody, once you have a phone, that your phone number is your health insurance number. Because that phone number is unique to you, right? 234 whatever is unique to you. That becomes your health insurance number. So you have an HMO and you have a preferred hospital. But if anything happens to you, say I go to Sokoto and I have a mishap, right? Once I get into hospital, whatever hospital it is, they're duty bound to treat me, okay? Because this is my number. I've been paying for it. And all that. Anytime I make a call, I'm crediting my health insurance. Now, if my insurance is say 100,000 naira a year, and I have in excess of that, I can gift it to my great grandmother, who's since passed. But I can gift it to someone who is unable or who doesn't make as many calls, or who has a treatment that the number of the credit
can't cover.
I can gift it. And if I don't want to gift it, it's a brilliant way of putting it under the treasury bills. So I'm earning interest, okay, on my unused portion of the excess beyond my premium. But so you're no longer scared. What does that do? People are ready to invest in Medicare. People are ready to invest in hospitals and all that because they know that you have a
You can actually use the money accrued from that to actually revamp these hospitals, primary health care centers.
So in the primary health, nobody is scared to fall ill. To fall ill in Nigeria today is almost like some people say it's a death sentence. So when you start hearing words like cancer, you're like, it's a fear actually that will kill you, not even the disease. So you've got to, once you put that in place and people see that, they'll appreciate it. The problem is that people do not appreciate why the government wants to take so much money from them, right, and gives literally nothing in return. So if that system is instituted, you will have a lot of companies investing in healthcare, manufacturing health products. Here, if you go to a hospital, everything you see in the hospital is imported. Look, my brother, if I look around this room, I'm trying to look for what is made in Nigeria here. I won't find it. It's not that we don't have the intelligence to do it, but the system does not promote us being productive.
I'm surprised you've not mentioned electricity, because it's at the heart, at the core of any productivity.
Let me tell you my story about electricity. This is a nation that possibly to date flares 2.5 billion cubic feet of gas a day.
A day.
Now, let me bring that down. 2.5 billion cubic feet of gas is equal to 25 million liters of diesel. If you had a turbine to power all of Africa, it wouldn't consume 25 million liters of diesel. So the word is ganganton, the waste. And we've been doing this for over 40 years. We're the largest single source pollutants in the world. The pollution we cause by gas flaring is the largest in the world. They say now it's down to 1.7 and they expect us to be clapping. Oh, we've done well, we've gone from
2.5.
Well, what does that mean? In the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty.
Brilliant. We could spend hours on this. There will be time for us to do this
worth it.
before. Absolutely. We'll do this when as we get closer to election day. But I want to take you back to where we started from about the team, and I'm glad you used the analogy of the football team. Because I'd asked you what's the problem, and you said it's basically leadership, assembling a team. Just a couple of days ago, I saw a video where President Ibrahim Babangida was talking about how he got Professor Olikoye Ransom Kuti to become his health minister. He was a junior officer, and then he was at NIPS, Nigerian Institute of Policy and Strategic Study at Kuru, doing some regular course. And then this guy came in, professor, and he and his team classmates had this habit of when these professors or speakers come in, they score them, they mark them. That most of the time they laugh at some of these speakers because they just more or less spoke bunkum. But this professor came and it dazzled them. They were wowed. And he took a note of that. Guess what? A few years down the line, he became president. And then he looked for him and said, I want you to be Minister for Health. Of course, Oliko Ramson Kuti was torn between the ocean and the however it is said.
Family beliefs.
Exactly.
And the military.
His brother, Fela, and then the other brother, Beko.
Yeah, Beko.
Because of that, he was not going to the So Babangida said to him, you know what? I was in this class when you came to speak about primary health care and his talk. Oliko said, really? You were in that class? He said, yes. So if he said all those things, now I'm giving you the opportunity to serve this country, help this country. You know what I'm saying, dialing back to this bit of history? It showed leadership, the extent leadership would go to get the best hands.
You have to headhunt. Why do you think Premier League teams pay millions?
It's going on right now.
Yes.
It's going on right now. The window for purchase of players is going on right.
But we look for the least amongst us.
Just because of maybe filial, tribal affiliation or political.
And unfortunately for
settlements.
us, we have the best brains. It's not unique to any part of the country.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I can tell you this. I went to school in Sokoto. I went to school in Zaria. So I've experienced the North. I've experienced the South. I went to school in Lagos. We are gifted right around. That's why I said to you, when it comes to all known forms of energy, including brain energy, we have it.
Now, are you familiar with this book?
I've seen it. I've seen parts of it.
Okay. Have you read it?
Yes.
Okay.
And I kicked.
Okay. I bought it. You know where I'm going with this, right?
I know where you're going, but I'm listening to you.
I bought it.
The audience.
I bought it November 2019 at Port Harcourt Airport, and it read like a spy thriller. Okay. It's also about team selection. It was written by Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. She basically, fighting corruption is dangerous. Talked about her time. But then pages 17 to 19, where she talked about how Avon left Obasanjo's cabinet first as finance minister later on. But she left. She went back to World Bank as MD. Now, President Yar'Adua, of blessed memory, tried to get her. She refused. Recommended Dr. Mokhtar, whom he graciously accepted. Now, Jonathan comes in and pleaded with her through Atedo Peter side, who says, Jonathan will call you, please accept. But she said she's not interested. But then pressure, and all of that. People called the pious on anyway. But you now went to Washington and called to say you want to see her. And she had nice things to say about you anyway. She called you, brilliant, enlightened, and that your state, Cross River, was the cleanest. And all of anyway, that you tried to dissuade her from taking the job. You said some people in Nigeria don't want her to take the job because it will make Jonathan look good. Was there any truth to that?
It's a very sad story, and I took her up on it. And
you took her up on it?
Oh yes, because that was not what happened. I went to visit her primarily to get someone a job. A friend of mine in the United States wanted to work in the World Bank, so I went to talk to her about the processes. Then I said to her, and we were very close. I used to call her.
She spoke very well about it.
I used to call her sis. I said,
exactly.
Sis, are you going to take this? Your name has been mentioned for a minister. She now said, no, well, she may take it, but, there'll be conditions. And I said, what conditions? This is just a conversation. And she said she must be in charge of not just finance, but the entire economy. And therefore, she named about 4 or 5 other people that she'll bring and create a team.
Bright Okongu and the rest of them.
Talked about that, Olawade, and all that.
The rest of them.
And I said, you've got to be careful. How well do you know Jonathan? She said, I really don't know him at all.
Yeah, she said so in the book.
So I said, well, when you want to form a cabinet for someone whom you don't know well, you've got to be careful, right? I was saying this against a backdrop of what happened to her in her first foray as minister and finance and foreign minister. She took vainglory at Nigeria's debt relief. Yeah. It wasn't her. It was President Obasanjo. Even before we were sworn in, he asked me to accompany him on a world tour. We visited 28 countries. And each of the Western countries, he asked for debt relief. Okay? I remember the meeting with Tony Blair. I remember the meeting with President Clinton. At that meeting, Clinton asked him a direct question: what can we do to sustain democracy in Nigeria? He said, democracy can only be sustained if the people see the dividends of democracy. And he said, what's the hang-up? He said the debt overhang on us cannot vividly bring forth the dividends of democracy within a short time. So Clinton now asked his economic team, it included Lawrence Summers.
Summers, yes.
Yeah, Summers was his Treasury.
Yes, Secretary.
No, Summers was in charge of his economic team. There was this chap from New York, from Wall Street, who was in charge of his Treasury. Anyway, we assembled at the Willard. It's a hotel near the White House. And point blankly, they told him, we cannot forgive your debts because the debts you're owing other people. We cannot write off the debts of other people. President Obasanjo was so furious, he banged his hand on the table and said, your president, he came from a military background. Your president asked you to come and negotiate with me, and you're now telling me that what your president asked you to do is undoable, is not doable. And they said yes. He said, Mr. President, the president spoke to you in political terms. We are giving you the reality. We can't do it. Yeah. This is before he was sworn in. He got a soft landing with Tony Blair, right? If debt forgiveness really worked, it was the efforts of President Obasanjo and Tony Blair. Now, you are a finance minister. You are the ones who's going to do the runs and all that, but don't take credit for it. So it was that led him, as President Obasanjo, to poster out of finance to foreign ministers. Since you say you are now friendly and you can do debt forgiveness, you know how cynical it can be. Go and do finance. Then she assumed the responsibility of finance minister grudgingly, but still wanted to be head of the economic team. And President Obasanjo said no. Esther, I saw her yesterday. Nenadi Usman. Is a new finance minister and will head the team. Ngozi was very uncomfortable with that, and that led her, she couldn't function, she really couldn't function international and all that. That she resigned.
Exactly.
Okay. So with that background, I was like telling her, look, be careful, right? Don't try enforcing or implementing a cabinet for someone whom you barely even know, right? Get the feel of the place and all that. So why would I thought it was mean to say that, so he doesn't succeed. If any president fails, all of us have failed. He drags, so even if you don't want him there to continue, do all you can to let him succeed so that, And secondly, in that same book, she alluded to someone who blackmailed her, and when she wanted to go to the villa, they blocked her from going into the villa. I don't know if you remember that portion of the book. Why didn't she mention the name of the person? Even the President Jonathan, when I accosted him with this, he said to me that even if it were true, why would you put it in a book for someone you consider your friend?
I couldn't reconcile with it because she spoke glowingly about you.
On one hand,
yes, as a friend.
Then the other hand, you slapped me. But the annoying thing was an honest advice to her, right? Nothing works except the president buys in. When people tell me from other states that, we're interested in tourism and all that, come and let's talk. I said, let your governor. If your governor is not interested in it, yes, there's a ministry for tourism, but nothing is going to happen, So that was my advice to her. She twisted it, and I was sad because it came from her.
Exactly, because
it
would have been remiss of me not to clear this.
I'm glad you did.
Because I've had this for years.
Because when they put her forward, and I'm not saying this now because of bad belly or anything, economics is this. Look, the economy crashed under her watch.
Seriously?
What would you say was an economic...
Can we compare Jonathan's administration's economic management to today? Where we are today?
It didn't start today.
Yes, it did. But
it didn't start today.
Yes.
So what was the magic that she did? At the end of the day, she was blaming that the payments, the savings, the state governments wanted to quote. State government have their own. 52% of the federal income coming to Nigeria now is for the federal government. What did you do with that?
She introduced innovative technology, GIF, MIS, and then IPPIS, the payment system, TSA, Treasury Single Account, and so many others. She said
TSA didn't start in her time.
They proposed it in her first time, but they didn't follow through. So when she came back, she put all of those in place. Are you saying those did not help?
Yes. I'm not saying she was... No. Please don't get me wrong.
Exactly. So
no, I'm not saying that she was awful. No. But Okay, this interview is about Nigeria. I don't.
Okay.
Let's not go.
Okay, I think you've cleared the one that's
that's it.
important.
But I think she's a very she's a brilliant person.
Absolutely.
You can't take that from
Absolutely.
her. And there'll be very few people of our race, the black race,
Absolutely.
that would attain what she has
That level of-
attained.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Now, let's go back to Cross River, where you were governor for 8 years. One of the youngest, you were the youngest governor.
Saminu Turaki and I
were
were both 37.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you know what 37-year-old Nigerians are doing now?
I shudder.
Wow.
I shudder. I was commissioner for finance at the age of 30, right? But
I read through your bio. I was wow.
I'm a unique case. You know, I wouldn't, but I want that for every other Nigerian. You see, people are getting into government today without any exposure. I was singularly blessed. I was in university, I was in politics, and ABU politics is really Nigerian politics, because you have north, south, east, west, all those things. I was one of the few Southerners elected into the union in Ahmadu Bello University, in the most conservative union, which is Congo campus. That's one. So I had an inkling, and I love history. At the age of 30, fortuitously, I was appointed commissioner for finance by someone I believe is really, really the father of modern Cross River. All these players today, Abri put all of us together, you know. I was there for 2 years, then Abacha struck. But I had met Abacha earlier.
Wow.
He had come to Calabar for some military exercise. He was chief of defense staff, and I was his chaperone. And we hit it off.
Wow.
You know, the story...
It's difficult not to fall in love with you.
Yeah,
so difficult. So difficult.
The story of Abacha that we hear today, and the man himself,
they're totally different.
Totally different.
Wow.
So he was very nocturnal.
So I hear.
He'll be in bed till about 11, 12, but he was fun to be with. And I guess I created an impression, because when he became head of state, alongside with Professor Aluko, whom I had known earlier, invited me to be a member of the National Economic Intelligence Committee. Initially, I wasn't excited, but that was his real cabinet. He didn't trust his ministers.
Wow.
You know? So every memo that went to the cabinet office, a copy was sent to us for our views. So it was tremendous exposure. I automatically became a member of the National Economic Council. Now, having said that, when I look back, look at all that exposure, all that experience, we should create an internship system in our country where young people are exposed into the judiciary. You can be clerical officers, to the National Assembly. Ministers have interns. Every 6 months you go there, get experience, demystify government.
Absolutely.
And if you don't do it, whether you like it or not, sooner or later, those young people will take over. If you go to the National Assembly today, the guys who are there, this is literally their first experience at governance, because they have the highest number of casualties, turnover there. 2/3 of them are not going to come back. So each time there's a fresh hand, you know, that experience is not there.
I'm coming back to this. I'm coming back to this.
Before you come back, let me have a glass of water.
Yes, very important. I was wondering why you haven't.
You know when the Yoruba say, Jakuta Mamumi?
Oh, dear. Now, your administration in Cross River was synonymous with three main economic and tourist projects. The big one is the Sinapa Free Trade Zone and Resort now, commissioned in 2007 by President Obasanjo. Today, many claim it's now a white elephant project. It wasn't then, but now they call it a white elephant project. What was the vision, and why has it, I don't know whether I'm right to say, why has it failed?
Okay, I'll tell you. It is today, it can be seen as a white elephant project because it didn't work. So if you have a stillborn child, right?
Yeah.
It's a dead child.
Yeah, the child, but it's a dead child.
It's a dead child. This is what happened. And I'm glad you said it was commissioned by President Obasanjo in 2007. April.
Yeah, April.
2007. We handed over May
2007.
April 23rd, and we handed over May 29th. I think this question should be directed at my successor. Right? Because government is continuous, right? If I build a road and you abandon it and going to build another road and all that, you'll never complete the work. So my successor, who had touted that the concept of Tinapa was created, as it were, in his bedroom, because Lil and I were very close. He was chairman of of my campaigns. He's an incredible fellow. But I don't know what went wrong with him. He just refused to do it, and put in writing to AMCON when AMCON had taken over the asset, that he was not interested in TINAPA.
Wow. You wrote to him?
In writing. I have a copy of the letter. Now, why would you say you're not interested in a project that the whole world celebrated if it worked, that you said was conceptualized in your bedroom, and now you're responsible as governor? It got so bad that Obasanjo actually called him and said, look, you guys are down for about 350 million in this thing. You've got to get it to work. President Obasanjo was so instructive and so helpful. We got Walmart. Walmart are the biggest retail chain in the world. They were prepared to take 2 emporiums, one for Walmart, the other one for Sam's Club, which is more of their wholesale arm. And we said no, because we couldn't give one institution 2 emporiums. An emporium is the size of 2 football fields. There are 4 of them in the complex. But it shows the demand for it. Then we had Home Depot. And these are American institutions, right? Out of the blues, hearing that Walmart was coming to Nigeria, they called me up and said, we're interested. But all those anchor tenants, which would have been Walmart on the back of TINAPA bought Massmart in South Africa, the owners of Gain, for 2.8 billion. But they were not interested in South Africa. In fact, the South Africans resisted their purchase. But Walmart has a policy. They don't use the name Walmart outside continental North America. So in England, for instance, it's Asda.
Okay.
But it's Walmart. Okay. In Africa...
Oh, okay. So Walmart is Asda
in England. Oh, okay. In England.
Okay.
But in Africa, it's Massmart. Because they bought over that as their vehicle in Africa. But they were looking at Nigeria. And Calabar is uniquely located. Calabar, if you turn around Africa, it's like a gun. West Africa is the butt. Yeah. And the most populous part of Africa is West Africa, right? With Nigeria and ECOWAS. Calabar is right there like a trigger, of the gun. But what the Americans said to me, what Walmart said to me, that the interesting thing is that they're looking at TINAPA being a consolidation base for goods between Angola, right, and Dakar. That to them is West Africa. And Calabar is uniquely placed. Beyond that, they had acquired about 10 hectares of land because the Calabar port had been designated a free port. They had acquired 10 hectares of land to do consolidation and redistribution. The sort of thing that Amazon is doing today and all that. They were going to do it there. But it wasn't just imported goods coming in. What they try and do is all the goods from their area, they've got to fill it up, and that's how you find goods. They can even ask you to make, maybe, let's say, some artwork or some tapestry. Get your local people to do it because they have to put products in their stores across the world. So they also encourage production locally. And it was brilliant. 15 banks in this country invested in TINAPA. Wow. 15. The biggest single investor in TINAPA is not Cross River.
Wow.
It's River State.
Oh, really?
Yes. Then we had funds coming in from IFC, ECOWAS fund. The federal government gave a federal guarantee on all these things. So we finished it. We commissioned it. It was all ready to go. But if you don't engage the anchor tenants and give the attitude you don't want to speak to them. So for instance, Michael Duke, who was then the president of Walmart, I started with a man called Lee Scott. Lee Scott was the president when we were building. By the time we finished, he had retired, and Michael Duke, no relative of mine, as white as they come. No, he's as Caucasian as they come. He was now the new president. And he said to me, he would like to, how do we get this started? We would like to, unfortunately, my governor was not willing to speak to him. And when eventually AMCON took it over, the managing director of AMCON at the time, Mr. Mustafa Chikiobi, was trying to put together, we had a conversation, what were you thinking? Brilliant. How can we get to, I can't go back to Walmart, they won't talk to me. We had a backup, T5. 555 has the 5 largest malls in North America, Edmonton Mall in Canada, American Dream, the 5 largest malls. So they were very interested. In fact, they had picked a team. At that point, the governor wrote the letter that he wasn't interested. I'm not going to go on if the owners of the project are not interested. But our dream was once Tinapa comes on board, once Walmart comes on board, we're going to list Tinapa in the stock market, right? And so with that sort of name as the anchor, a lot of people will buy into it, and there would have been no debt left for Cross River. Wow. That was the plan.
Let me ask you. So this was purely a failure of a continuity
political
problem. Wow. Okay,
Look, I'll give you another example. The ranch.
Yes,
Obudu
Cattle Ranch.
Adjudged the most, the best resort in all of West Africa by World Trade Organization. The Minister of Tourism from Ghana came to visit us, and I took him on a tour of all our tourist sites from Obudu and the mountains to Buancho Forest.
You had cable cars there.
We had the second longest canopy walkway in the world at Buancho in the central Cross River. We had the longest cable car in the world at that time in Calabar. We had Tinapa in the south. And in fact, Cross River had 2 canopy walkways, one on the ranch, one in Buancho. And we had, of course, the drills, the reserves and all that. Waterfalls in Kwa Falls and the other one. So the point I'm making, we had more tourist sites, Cross River, than the entire country of Ghana. And Obudu was working. We had flights 3 times a week. We built Baby Airstrip. We built an airstrip. If you didn't book 3 months in advance, you won't get accommodation.
Wow.
I have been to Obudu as governor. I wasn't planning to spend the night there, but we got delayed. So I said, okay, let me spend the night on the ranch. There was no accommodation. It was a good problem. I had to squat with the general manager. He had 2 bedrooms. I took 1 and all that. But all the other staff had to go to Obudu town and Ogoja to get accommodation. So the demand was so high, it was working. Proper management.
So there wasn't a problem with feasibility, the plan?
No,
the concept
traffic.
notes.
We increased occupancy from 27 rooms to 164. And it was always full, even in the worst of seasons, because they have a reverse climate there. When it's winter in the northern hemisphere, that's the warmest season here. It's like the South African, so it had a southern atmosphere weather pattern. But it was successful.
This question begs for...
But it was abandoned. It was abandoned
That's what I want to
on
ask.
the same grounds of politics.
So what was the problem? You and Senator Olawale, who succeeded you, best of friends, best of buddies. What happened in the conceptualization of these projects? Was it not involved in it? Because there's this rumor, confirm it briefly, that you guys already had the plan that I'll do 8 years and you'll take over from me. Was that true?
Not really. We never had that plan.
Okay.
But he was to all of us in what
group.
we'll call a political family, he was the best suited to take over. And I'll explain that. 1, he'll go on record as being the youngest senator Nigeria has ever produced. He was 30. We are 3 months. He's 3 months my senior, if you call that seniority. But he's the youngest senator. He became senator at 30. I was commissioner of finance at 30. I was tasked to raising funds for his elections. So I know that. His father was a minister, right, in the Eastern region. And Imoke went to the best schools in the world, right, abroad and all that. Federal government college here and all that, university abroad in the States and,
Same as you.
and in England. We have similar backgrounds. Yes. At 38, Imoke was special advisor to the president, right? At 41, he was Minister of Power, which at the time was so you couldn't find a better
pedigree.
On paper.
Yes.
But there's always a disconnect, paper and person, right? I don't want to sound judgmental, but he had, if you were going to recruit someone for a job and you had that sort of resume and no one comes close. But it's also unfair to say that I made him governor. No. He went through a transparent process and he was elected governor. I supported him. Yes, I did. But I didn't make him because, and all that. Now, I think we fell short. The principle of continuity in governance was not adhered to. That's where we are. And you can see it in the myriad of projects around Nigeria. Look, you're talking of Tinapa. What would you say about Ajaokuta?
I was coming there. Your Excellency. The quality of governors.
And let me say this. Let me say this. Even after him, it became further compounded by Governor Ben Ayade, right? Who even said, "Oh, the place should be turned into a school." It's not designed as a school. How do you just turn? Today, I give the incumbent governor too. One of the things he has done is retrieved it from AMCON, but I don't know what he wants to do going forward. We haven't discussed it, but at least he's paid some attention and he speaks positively about it.
My question, Your Excellency, the quality of governance, because after your set, 1999 to 2007, Bola Tinubu is from your set. Rashid Ladoja is from your set.
No, he wasn't.
Okay. Lam Adesina.
Lam Adesina. Rashid came in 2003.
Yeah, Lam Adesina is your set. Olusegun Oshoba was your set.
Oshoba was my
Ogun
set.
State
Yes.
was your set. That set, stellar people. Not just in terms of paper qualification, like you said, but the person, the gravitas,
Let me tell you something about our set. It's very unique. We are all friends. Till this day, we have a chat group. In our chat group, we hardly discuss politics.
Oh, really?
But yeah.
And the president is there?
Yeah, he's class of 99. We have our set, and we're all friendly. We talk, and we say, okay, banters, we tease each other and all that. Because, in 99, it was us, the Democrats, against Obasanjo, the dictator, So he brought us closer together.
Wow.
And regardless of our politics, and we were friends. So, for instance, one expecting me that I would say uncomplimentary things about President Tinubu. No, I won't. I disagree with him, and I'll tell him that, but no, he remains my friend. This controversial, the photograph and this and that. And we talked about that. And I tell people that I think it was a mistake by his biographers putting together his assembling his photographs and all that. But what is a black and white photograph between two friends? I mean, it doesn't mean anything to me. So to me, that's just a distraction. Let's talk about, we didn't vote for him on account of that photograph. We voted for him because he said hope. And my problem is that this renewed hope is like renewed hopelessness. That's my disagreement with him. Not that he's my friend.
Exactly. Now, the quality of governors
has deteriorated.
Drastically deteriorated. Now you have, look at what you said. You didn't walk to it, because the general perception out there until now was that there was an agreement between you and Liar. In fact, not just even post Liar, but at least between you and Liar, that you will take over and all of that. But you've corrected that. Now, incumbents are installing, and this is what people have told me on this seat where you sit, they're installing their boys, their drivers, their cooks, in inverted commas, and then you see it playing out. In a minute or two, can you address this? Yes.
How well do you know the works of George Bernard Shaw? He said, experience has taught man that man does not learn from experience. The moment you sit on that chair, right, you're the chief executive. You may be nice for a few months, right, because you want to show appreciation for what your successor did or contributed towards your being governor. But if you think that he'll be the docile, subservient boy, as it were, you're fooling yourself. You have not learned from experience, right? Even if he were your son, he'll rebel against you. And it has played out so often, and it's still playing out, right? You want to put a surrogate government, and you'll still with the power behind the throne. It will work for the first few months, and he'll get irritated and realize that, hey, what's your difference? You've done, let me do mine. And it's played out. So the best thing is, look, groom a successor as much as you can. But the successor you want is the one that will look at you in the face and tell you the truth, right? Because in my cabinet, and happens in many cabinets, there are people who believe that they get the best if they kowtow to the chief executive. So you hear people say, as the governor rightly said. If I rightly said it, why are you repeating me? You know? And I always tell them this story. I wouldn't name the names because they're still alive, but there was an occasion when I was at the National Economic Intelligence Committee, and there was an issue with fuel. I'll tell you the story. It's a very interesting story. So I was asked, along with a few other members, to go to Kaduna. What had happened was the then Minister of Works wanted to import bitumen. And we thought we had bitumen in Kaduna. So I led a team to Kaduna, only to find out that the Kaduna refinery has shut down because the bitumen tanks were not being evacuated, right? Because it's a byproduct.
Yeah.
Oh. So, and the quality of Kaduna bitumen was higher than what the minister wanted to bring in. So I wrote my report. It went back to Abacha. Like I said, every member comes to us. And he called a meeting. And that meeting, it was himself as head of state. To his left was Abdul Salam. To his right was General Dia. To the left of Abdul Salam was Buhari, then General Buhari, because of PTF. Then to his left was Danny Tete, Minister of Petroleum. To his left was the GMD of NNPC, Bayero at the time.
Exactly.
Sitting across, because it was a rectangular table, across there were Professor Aluko in the middle, I to his left, and members of the National Economic. To the right of Dia was General Adisa,
who was the Minister
for Works. I can see the picture now. And after him were executive directors of NNPC. So in the course of the meeting, Abacha took a sheet of paper and looked at it. And I guess, I didn't see the sheet, but it had prices of bitumen and all that. And he turned to Dan Etete and said, Dan, you told me the price of bitumen is XYZ, but what I'm seeing here is different. Am I wrong? General Abdul Salam looked at him and said, how can you be wrong? You can't be wrong. Even if you're wrong, you're right.
Wow.
Then he turned to Dia and said, Dikbo. That's all he said. Dikbo. He said, you're right, sir. Dikbo never saw any sheet of paper.
Wow. Wow.
Then he turned to Etete and said, so Dan, what are you telling me? Dan literally, stooped and said, I'm sorry, sir. He didn't go into any debate.
Wow.
You are shortchanging your leadership.
When you have people like that,
you should, if you want to install it, talk to one who can engage you. You would enjoy him better. He'll tell you, Excellency, this thing you're suggesting, I don't think it will work, this, that. And he was my attorney. I had someone like that. It was my attorney general. If you ask me, who would, he's someone that'll look you and say, Excellency, you're fucking up.
Wow.
And all the other commissioners will look, and they'll say, these are my reasons.
Yes.
Wow. So someone will go back to him, why would you tell the Excellency he's fucking up? He said, leave after Excellency, aren't we the same age? And all that. But you actually enjoy a staff who tells you the truth, even if his truth is wrong, right? Not one that will gloat and just genuflect before you. And that's, sycophants have ruined
this country,
people because they play to your ego. You see, the devil doesn't tempt you on your strengths. He tempts you on your weakness. If your ego is your weakness, all I have to do is go polish it up, glorify you, and get anything I want from you. That's your weakness.
So, news broke yesterday that former VP Atiku Abubakar, a fellow contestant such as yourself, has come out to say he was going to remove fuel subsidy. What's your take on this?
There's no subsidy. I don't believe there's any subsidy.
That he was going to restore it, fuel subsidy. Rather.
You can't restore that.
What would be fair?
Because honestly, no one has really gone to the depth of it. Where is this subsidy? If it's an engine, look, if human beings had control of oxygen, I mean, when you go to the hospital and they give you oxygen, anything that you need to survive must be freely available and affordable. There's really no subsidy, but. So if he made that statement, he belongs to the school of thought that believes there's a subsidy. But I can tell you, because we did this whole subsidy business started in Abacha's time and all that.
Yes.
Because he was a proponent.
I'm actually surprised that not many know that about your role in the Economic Council of Abacha. I'm really surprised.
People think my life started as governor.
Exactly. Exactly.
We used to advise him, you cannot take your natural resource, process it abroad, and bring it back in. Meanwhile, you have the refineries.
That are
right?
horrible.
So that's where the money started coming in. Because nobody talks about the other byproducts. Are we selling it to mitigate the price We're not. We're selling, oh, this is the cost of petrol. I'm giving to, oh, it's more expensive in Cameroon. It's more expensive in Niger. They don't have what we have.
Exactly.
And even if they had, we are using it as a catalyst
for
development.
For productivity.
So if, for instance, you're building a road between one community to the other, you may not charge toll on the road because it creates productivity, even if it's a farm road.
Yes.
It allows you to take.
Yes.
So let's not look at the things that contribute to the productivity in life as things that you've got to charge and make money. Not everything you make money off. It's a catalyst.
I like the word catalyst. I like that word. Okay, so it's for you, the issue of restoring subsidy doesn't even exist because from the beginning it's a scam.
The scam.
It never existed. Interesting. Okay, let's go to politics. Are you worried that the 2027 elections may be rigged against you? Do you have such
Well, there are two
fears?
things. First of all, we have the primaries behind us. There are two types of democracy. There is a presidential system and there's a parliamentary system. In the parliamentary system...
Sorry, sir. There are some that are hybrid.
Yes, there are hybrids, but I'm just taking the two
Exactly, of course, the
basic
general ones.
Yeah. France, for instance,
Exactly.
is a hybrid
system. Yeah.
So even then, it's still a parliamentary system because you've got an elected person who is there for 6 years, right? But you have a government that operates the system.
Yeah.
In a parliamentary system, you can have many parties, 10 and all that. Whoever has the largest number of seats automatically forms the government. In the hybrid, it is the president that appoints. In the presidential system, the one akin to the United States, which we operate, it functions best when there are only two parties, two major parties, right? But you have a balkanized opposition in Nigeria. So you'll never have what we term true democracy, right? And the system should be so done that it becomes very difficult to, so if you look at countries that have survived, the United States, yes, they could say, okay, the independence and all that, but you know that there are two basic parties. It's either the Democrats or the Republicans. So even when we were doing a little to the right, a little to the left, SDP, NRC, there was some sense in it.
Yeah.
It's just that usually parties form government. Government was then trying to form the parties, so that was the anomaly. But ordinarily, it's the party that should form government. But the philosophical sense behind it made sense because you needed two opposing parties.
Strong, dominant parties.
Yeah, so opposition is something that we shouldn't jettison, right? But you have a leadership who says, whatever you do in politics is fair. Am I worried? Yes, I'm worried. I'm worried not even because I think it will be rigged. I think the opposition will rig itself out.
Oh, really?
Out of stupidity.
Wow.
I mean, cheat me once, shame on you. Cheat me twice, shame on me, right? You lost it in 23 because you were a factionalized. Look, the two main hedgehogs in 2023, one was in 18, one was running mate to the other.
Yes.
They split.
2019.
They couldn't find a way of coming together. The entire opposition, whether you call it NNPP at the time, so you had Rabiu Kwankwaso, my friend, 99 said. You had Obi. Obi is not our set. Obi is 20.
Of course, 2006 or something.
Yeah. Then you had Atiku, Vice President Atiku, who is our set also. Couldn't we just sit down? Only one person is going to be president. I'm not running this race because I believe I must be president. I'm running this race because I think the best ideas or options should be put forward. Let's debate these things. Let's not just accept that, because every pseudo-economist, and a lot of them propped up after SAP, 1985.
Structural adjustment.
Yeah, structural adjustment. That we should liberalize our market. Those people have ruined the economy. Listen, if you and your house helps or support start going to the same shops, there's something wrong somewhere, right? Water finds its level. Our level is West and Central Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa. We can't compare ourselves with China, right? So, but the point here is that coming back to elections, even if the APC did nothing, right? They're the party in power. Yep. If there's a problem on that day, the IG of police will not go to any of the contestants. He'll go to the president. So everything is skewed in favor of incumbent. Respect that. The only way you can seriously tackle the incumbent is to come together to tackle him, to have the force. Otherwise, you'll be factionalized. So I think when you talk of rigging, we're rigging it against ourselves because of our ego. We need to come together. If you really want to take out, look, Bola Tinubu is not the average politician, right?
In the mold of Jonathan.
Well, you said it. I didn't call anybody's name. All I know that he is not the
run of the mill politician,
right? So you don't go to fight a lion who also has horns. No. Listen to this. Can you imagine a lion with a horn?
Yes.
Right? It's already a dangerous animal.
Absolutely.
Then you now give it a horn and you say, go and fight it with knife and fork.
Wow.
You'll be the dinner.
Wow.
So let's get real.
Let me put you on the spot, Your Excellency. I've sat down here with surrogates of leading contestants. There's this particular candidate that some of the surrogates are saying it's either him or nobody else. What do you say to these people?
You know, surrogates are like psychopaths most of the time. Because if it's not him, that same surrogate that says it's either him or no will run to the next person. Wow. We see it already happening today. You know, I don't want to call names, but there are people who were with Atiku, right? Today they're working for Tinubu. So, no. A proper surrogate is your truth teller. Oga, this is what the people think. You sit around yourself, you ask yourself, opposition, what are our objectives? If the objective is to replace APC, fine. That is a common objective of the opposition. There's a political order in Nigeria, North and South.
Yes.
Do we want to jettison that political order in order to achieve our objective?
Yes.
Right? Yes or no? Who is the best person to achieve the objective? Those are the questions we should be asking ourselves, right? Not each one. You see, so the egos are so large. Either me or let it go back to. So what was the objective? The objective must always be ahead of us. The tail cannot wag the dog.
Let me put you on the spot again, Your Excellency. So, if you had the power to, of course, don't put yourself, who would you recommend for others to rally around? Who has the best chances of defeating Tinubu?
That's the sad thing. We don't talk of policies. Half of our conversation here, I talked about health, what you could do. Yes. I talked about education and all that. All they do is just abuse. So I don't know, and I wish there would be a presidential debate. I know it will be called for, but I don't see the incumbent attending because he didn't attend the last one when he was a candidate. So I don't see it happening. But it's difficult to say, I'm going to support this fellow because what does he stand for? Right? So we haven't seen their manifestos yet.
Okay, let's go into a bit of history. And I must say, when I read through your bio, I was really mightily impressed,
Really?
Corona School. That's Yana Ajebota, a classic Ajebota, Corona School. And I actually...
Did you grow up in Lagos?
Yes, of course. Okay. I was born at Ibadan, raised in Ibadan, but I went to Lagos.
Ibadan was where everything was happening.
Lagos boy, exactly.
Everything was happening in Ibadan.
And I regretted not going to IC or KC.
ISI,
exactly.
GSI, UI.
Exactly, Lola College. I went to Lola College.
All the intellectuals were in Ibadan.
Exactly. So I thought you would go to KC. I thought you would go to KC or IC, but you already mentioned why you didn't go there.
Yeah, my admission was to KC, but school was to start on Monday.
Yes.
On Thursday, I was switched.
Anyway, your dad, I mean, you had, like I said, you're an Ajebota because you are highly privileged. Your dad was...
You have to define Ajebota.
Your dad was the second longest serving DG of the Nigerian Customs Service.
Okay, he was the second indigenous. But he's the longest serving.
Okay. So, Atiku Abubakar, former VP, and your dad worked together, right?
My father recruited him. into
really?
the customs.
Wow.
He'll always remain my senior brother.
Wow. Okay.
And I've known him since I was 12 years old.
This clarification is very important. So you had fantastic relationship.
Oh yeah.
And
Till
some
today.
even said
We don't agree all the time.
Just so the excellency.
He's my uncle. Put it that way.
Fantastic, fantastic. So is it correct to say that 1999 now you were contesting for the ticket of PDP for governorship? John Opa was also scoring off against you, and I think he was actually going to win, but then Atiku stepped in, cleared the path, smoothed the way.
99.
Yes, 1999.
No.
And then financed and did all of those.
Let me put it. Let me
1 or 2 minutes.
Let me tell you my story.
Yes.
Yeah, quick one.
Yes.
John was actually the campaign manager for Kanu Agabi in 1999.
Wow.
Lil was chairman of my campaign. And Lil came up with a brilliant idea that the only way to cripple Agabi is take the brain away from his campaign organization, which was John. So we offered him running mate, right? And he didn't trust us. So
you ran against Kanu Agabi.
Oh yeah. It was a David and Goliath thing because Kanu was the establishment man. All the guys, MT Mbuz, the Joseph Wyas, all those people, Tony Mbu, Tony Ani, and all that, they were supporting him. We were the young Turks. We were like a ragtag army and all that, and it was exciting for us. And we were in our 30s. So Lil said, we need Obubra. It's very important. If you look at the calculation
population
and all that.
density and all.
And yes, we have a part of it, but we need to get at least a quarter of the votes there. So who is a strong person from Obubra? Of course, it was John Okpa. So we went to him, offered him running mate and all that. He didn't trust us. So he made us print posters with his face on it, everything. Okay. And to be fair to him, was a very hardworking and dedicated person. Of course, in office, he had already started seeing himself eventually
taking
as
over
governor.
from you.
No problem with that. But in 2002, he started really nursing this thing. And he seemed to be in competition with Lil. And I said, John, look, I'm going to run in 2003. You guys are asking for inheritance before I die.
Allow me to die first.
Let me die first. But it got so strenuous, right? They were backbiting each other. John was now putting together his own.
Wow.
And he accused me of not taking his side, literally. And I said, there are no sides to take because the elections we're talking about is
Still
6 years ahead.
Exactly.
Right? And we don't even know if we'll be here tomorrow.
Exactly.
So relax. John, anything can happen. But John was really boisterous. Had too much energy in that small body. So it wasn't working well for him. And he was going to run with me for my second term. Lil, at that time, had indicated that he was interested, but it was in passing. He was actually in a car. We were driving somewhere, and he said, Gov, I'm thinking of 27. No problem. I won't be there, so I can't be there, But John got so hung up on it and felt he wasn't being protected and left the party and joined the other party. I think,
APC or something. What's it called now?
AMPP
or something like that.
He joined them, and I said, "You cannot remain my deputy. How are you going to chair a cabinet meeting?
Jump ship.
You are from another party.
Exactly.
It won't work."
Wow.
So I called the House of Assembly, explained this to him and all to them. He was eventually impeached. He tried to run in 23. He didn't make it. I think, to be fair to him, he came back and he apologized to me and all that I wasn't the one that offended him. He just felt unprotected. But unfortunately, he passed.
So, what's this relationship between you and Atiku up till now?
Oh, very cordial. Very cordial. If I see him, I give him his respect. I mean, you must give him something. You can't be running for an office for 30 years and you're still doing it.
Fantastic.
You must believe in your ability to get it done. He started running in 1993.
Fantastic. Exactly. Last question, because we're in a book titled "How to Win Elections in Nigeria" by Seun Oloketui. You recounted how General Babangida had said to President Obasanjo that this guy cannot become president and all of those. Is that correct? Because you said they went somewhere.
I'm retelling a story that was told to me.
Okay, not that you heard.
I was not a witness.
Uh-huh.
In that story, there were 5 people who could be witness to this event. Vice President Atiku, President Babangida, President Obasanjo, President Abdul Salam Abubakar, and General Guzo. And the story was simple. It was President Obasanjo that told me. They approached them, they had what they call the G4, And this was 2003, and they said they weren't going to support him for so many reasons, one of which was that it's difficult to sell Obasanjo to the north because the economy was had dwindled under his run. They don't have any banks any longer. No, so, but you could see the high stakes of the politics at the time. So it appeared, I think, to Vice President Atiku that those people were supporting him. But the way Obasanjo told me that, there's a commonality between the other four. They were all military. They all fought in the Civil War. They had esprit de corps.
Absolutely.
That camaraderie and esprit de corps. And he was the odd man out.
Absolutely.
And he said to me, there was a time each one of us would sacrifice our life to save the life of that bond between military. And that's why, and he was saying this, he said, look, that's why no matter, even Abacha, as much as he may have hated him, would not look him in the face and talk down with him, right? And Babangida would not do the same thing. But you don't belong to that culture. So he was an outlier trying to get involved in what he didn't understand. That's really, but it was a story I was saying
because the issue was that the story was like IBB said, "Oh, I forgot something in your office."
Yeah, that actually happened. He took him back and said,
"No." The point is that he followed Obasanjo into the anteroom, and then he told whatever. So the question was, people are saying, "How did you hear what was said?"
It was told.
So at least now you've clarified it. Your Excellency, I think we've come to the end of this. It's been a very riveting, highly exciting engagement, and I hope we can actually do this.
I see the media; they just want
sound bites.
Not just sound bites. They're looking.
Surface level.
When the likes of channels and Charles and they're looking for content for their program. When they come to me and put pressure and say, you're looking for content, you have an hour to fill, right?
Yes.
I actually said to Charles once, I said, Charles, you should be paying me for this. He laughed, he said it's mutual, that we give you publicity and we get content.
I mean,
but it's important we speak up. There are too many gaps in our history. And in a way, I've been witness to, I've interacted with every leader of this country since Gowon.
Wow.
I never interacted with Ironsi or Tafawa Balewa, but every leader of this country since Gowon, Murtala, I have interacted with them.
That's significant history.
And like I said at the onset of this program, I'm a student of history.
Wow.
I love history.
Wow. In a minute, sir, tell us about Tinubu, your friend, your colleague and friend. Tell us 1 minute about him.
Very interesting human being.
The gaps in his genealogy and all of those.
I'm not competent to talk about those things. The Tinubu I know is someone who is a very determined person and who doesn't think within the box, right? But, and the but here is not a negative but. The but is that he's very focused on what he wants to achieve, right? Sometimes I disagree whether it's for the common good, right? He's been the most impactful governor of Lagos. And when they compare both of us, but in his own case, he didn't stop governing Lagos, right? He's still, I would say, still the administrator of Lagos State. He may not be governor, but he's the administrator of Lagos State. So he could boast of continuity in Lagos, even though sometimes it was checkered. But he's a very determined person, and he's focused on what he wants to attain, and he plans for it. So I give him that respect.
Master strategist?
When it comes to politics. Governance, I'm not sure I agree with his governance, but I agree his politics. I mean, if I had someone who could play that politics for me, because I'm not cut of that cloth, I'll take advantage of it. I'm more interested in, I see politics as a vehicle, right, to take you to a destination, which is governance. And it's a useful vehicle because you can't govern a place when you do not understand their politics. And that's why the military, there were gaps in their leadership. Because you bring someone from Sokoto to be governor of Cross River, he's only going to be focused on peace and security. But development, he doesn't understand it.
Your Excellency, it's been a wonderful time with you.
Thank you.
Nice having you.
Pleasure's mine.
And we should do this again.
Well, the next segment you'll pay.
It's actually you that will pay. Because that will be asking about give us details of your plans.
Anytime I say you pay, you laugh.
No, because it should be the other way, actually.
It's mutual.
Thank you so much.
I give you content and you give me publicity.
Absolutely.
Thank you too. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Appreciate it. Thank you.